Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to My Deep Guide. Welcome to part 2 of the Max Lumi in-depth review. In this one, we're going to be focusing on the writing experience. Alright, so a thing that a lot of people are interested in is the writing experience and how it actually works. So let's just start off the notebook side of things with the writing example. So I'm going to be using a ballpoint pen at maybe thickness, let's say 3. And I'm just going to write an example here and I'm going to zoom in so that you guys can see in detail how that looks like. I had the opportunity to now use it, especially during the battery test, where I was writing for a full hour, and I have to say that I am blown away. I loved how Max 3 behaved. This is even better. I don't have Max 3 anymore to do a direct comparison, but it definitely feels faster. The surface, because it's plastic, it gives very nice resistance and it's not too glidey. It's very nice and scratchy and raspy in a good way, so it feels a little bit like paper and it also sounds like paper. So in combination with a good pen that carries this tip, so this is the default tip, just kind of reminding you I'm using the default tip that comes, but it is just placed in the Lumi pen because the default one sucks. Then it's a very comfortable experience, and yes, the Lumi button works for erasing normally. So that's another thing that's definitely confirmed. So writing experience, how it actually works is excellent. Is it remarkable 2 category? No. Is it remarkable 1 category? Pretty much so. Very close. Remarkable 1 is a little bit more rough, the surface itself, than this one here, but actually I prefer this a little bit more, especially for prolonged periods of time when writing. So I would say that Remarkable 2 is a better writing experience than Max Lumi, but Max Lumi is as good as Remarkable 1 for writing, and that's pretty damn good. Alright, so I've went through the notebook so many times in all the previous devices that this time I'm going to go through it a little bit more quickly. If you're interested in some really specific details, check out either Max 3 or Nova 2 reviews, and then check out the notebook side of things, because most of the tools are pretty much exactly the same. I'm just going to breeze through them and focus on the new stuff that's there. Generally speaking, the notebooks, let's just first go through the notebook management area. So it's pretty much the same as with the library. You can add subfolders, folders, multi-select, sync if you're logged in, so that all your notes is synchronized, and you have also filtering, sorting, all sorts of things that are good. The only thing that you can notice that is different is we have normal notebooks, and then we have also, I think these are called book notebooks or whatever. Either way, when you're writing notes in a split screen mode in a document, the device itself creates a new notebook that's associated with the document itself, and those will be able to find in here. And these here are your normal, regular, unassociated notebooks. This is something that's very important to know. You are able to actually search through notebooks. So if I open a notebook and I now go here and say search for letter this, what it's going to do is actually it's going to convert everything that I've written into text, and then it's going to query the search for the word that I have, and once it finds it, it's going to highlight it for me. This is freaking fantastic, and I absolutely love this thing. I've shown only on this small example here, but it works pretty much for everything. You can search individually in the documents themselves. So let me just try and go into the battery test, and let's say maybe this is 13 pages, so let's try and find front light, maybe, or I deleted front light. I guess it helps if you spell correctly. And of course, on larger documents, yeah, he wouldn't be able to find it because I was very messy with writing here. So it will definitely depend on how it's written and what's done. Maybe I was writing it separately. And yes, so front light was recognized. Actually, he recognized a light only once, but that's still something that works. So is it perfect? No, absolutely not. And it will depend on your handwriting. However, if you are writing in a little bit more concise manner than these scribbles that you can see here, then I think that you're gonna have a much better results, because these are most definitely scribbles. But for example, if I just go for, let's say, they. Now, I don't know if I'm searching for the or they. No, it's for the. I was typing too quickly. So let's go they, and then I search. There we go. So we have they are not, they do upon exporting if they develop blah 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 blah, and then I can just tap on the one that I want and it finds the word in my notes. This is freaking fantastic, and this is something that I think if you want to be a serious note-taking device, how can you not have this feature? It's an absolute must. So this is super awesome, and it not only works on a per document basis, you can do a global search here as well in the same way that you want. Of course, it will take longer time, but once the search is done, it will give you the results as you've seen. So this is an absolutely awesome feature that I think needs to be accentuated, because it's not something that you can find on many devices or platforms, and it's uber useful. So if you're serious about note-taking, yes, it does have search, and it can search your handwritten notes as you've seen. Alright, so let's go into a notepad to cover what tools and what we have in a notepad. So in a notepad, you can click on this icon to rename the notepad itself if you want to. Back is to get out of the notepad, or click the back button. Synchronize, search as I've shown, undo, redo, and page navigation if you will, and you can tap on numbers and type in the number that you want and jump directly to the page number that you want. Then on the left side, we have the toolbar. The toolbar can be moved to the right side. Now, one thing to know is that if you rotate the whole landscape by using the rotate function here for the system, because it's possible to have everything in landscape or upside down or however you want, if you go into notes, the notes themselves don't really reflect that. They are kind of fixed this way because you have some controls on the side. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. And I don't know if that's going to be fixed or not, but that's how it works at the moment, and it's important to kind of be aware of that. I think it makes sense simply because yeah, you're going to be writing in this A4 format, mostly in portrait, but yeah. Then we have the uppermost icon is full screen mode, and when you're in full screen mode you have this floating toolbar. Now the floating toolbar is exactly the same. It's super useful and awesome, but it's exactly the same as I've shown and covered in detail in the update 2.3.1, I think, and you can go into that video and check that out, and then you'll see all the details. So I won't be covering that here, but it's important to know that you do have it and what it does and how to configure it. However, the most important thing for me for the full screen mode is that if you're not in the full screen mode, let's go back here, sorry. So if you are not in the full screen mode, notice this. So the corner of my visible notebook is always visible for me. The toolbars do not crowd or hide my content. So if I go to full screen, then it expands to full screen. If I go to not full screen, it contracts. But either way, the content of my notebook or the page is never obstructed by the toolbars. Another hugely important thing that I think is very, very annoying on the Remarkable itself, because it's constantly in the way and it just doesn't kind of work. I don't like that. Then we have the page navigation operations here. Oh, I was doing the Desta test in this one, but yeah, let's choose another one which actually has some written text, and let's go back this rotation to normal. There we go. So let's go into, battery test. That's the one that has a lot of pages. So if I go to page navigation, then I can see all of my pages here, and then I can select all or multiple ones. Then I can add pages. So basically I can select a page and go to a page. I can move a page around. Let's go back here. Page navigation. So if I select a page, then I can add a page after. I can copy the page. I can move the page back, move the page forward. I can move it somewhere else, so I can move it to first page, last page, or anywhere that I might want. And also I can insert, I can copy the page to any other notebook that I have, which is super useful. So everything is localized and super easy to control in here. You can share the page, but yeah, you have to be logged in. You can export the page as a PNG or a PDF or a selection of pages. So for example, if I just wanted to export these guys here, maybe, yeah. So if I wanted to export these 5 pages, then I could just go export and export that as a PDF. I don't have to export all of my notebook pages. Super useful. And of course you can delete. No, you cannot hold and drag. That's not something that you can do, but you have all of these other options, and for me I think that works really well. So the page management navigation system has been improved also in version 3, and it works really, really well now. I think it's very, very complete. Then we have the new thing here, this icon number 1, and that's actually layers, and this has been changed since previous version. This is where you change your templates. So your base layer is going to be the one that holds the template. So if you want to change the template, you have to go to layers, and then you tap on the base layer, and then you can change your template into one of many that are supported here. And then you can go through them, and these are the built-in layers. Sorry, built-in templates. Then you can have cloud templates that you can download and add, and you can also have your local templates. I didn't have the time to actually arrange any, but if you can just upload a PNG or a PDF into the templates folder on storage, and they will appear here, and then you can use your custom templates as easy as that. You can just put it in, and that's that. So that's super, super cool. And that's how things are supposed to work, as far as I'm concerned. Then you have the new thing with version 3 is also the ability to add layers. So I can add a new layer, and you can add up to 4 layers, I think. That's pretty much, you can add up to 4 layers. After that, I think it's, support up to 5 layers. All right, so 5 layers can be added, and you can see that whichever I click on that is the active layer, the number will be reflected here. So if I'm now currently on layer 1, I can just hide it, and then I go to layer 2, and then I start writing on a layer 2, and then I can also delete it or do whatever it is that you want to do with it. So layer control is definitely there. We cannot rename layers at the moment. I think that would be a nice thing, to actually be able to just click on long press or something to rename the layers simply when you're organizing things, and especially when you're drawing. I think that's going to be very, very helpful, but thankfully that's a very easy thing, and Onyx Boox actually updates their products very frequently, so hopefully that's something that we're gonna see fairly soon. So awesome addition that we have layers finally on the Onyx Boox platform. Very, very cool. Then we have our brush selection, and we have a couple of brushes now in version 3 as well. So right now we have the pen brush, and let's just swipe here so that you guys can actually see, but I'm gonna show it in detail. So we have the pen brush, we have the brush pen, then we have the ballpoint pen, then we have a pencil, which is a graphite pencil, and we have a marker. So now we have 5 brushes and geometric shapes. And now let's just see what these brushes are like and what they, how they work. So first let's start with the pen brush, and this is a pressure sensitive brush, and I've now set it to maximum thickness. And basically, depending on the thickness, if I start drawing very, very lightly, you'll see that it's very thin, and as I increase the pressure, so does the thickness, and it actually provides for a very nice type of feel when you're shading. So it's possible to shade quite interestingly with just the strokes themselves. For me, it resembles an ink brush in a very good way. Is it on the level of remarkable? Nope, it is definitely not. It doesn't have the details that you would expect from a brush like it doesn't have some small intricate details, but nevertheless, as a brush itself, it's super good and really sensitive. And one thing that I do like and I prefer more on the Onyx Boox platform is this post-processing that you can see. So for example, let's just delete this, and if you can see that the edge is kind of jaggedy and then bloop becomes smooth. So the notebook on the Boox has this post-processing that's enabled after you're done writing. The device itself in the background kind of smooths things out so that you have a very nice looking result in the end. So this is something I definitely like, and it works on all the brushes. It's not specific for this brush, but the pen brush resembles an ink brush and is pressure sensitive. Next is the brush pen. And as you can see, it's also pressure sensitive, but it also behaves a little bit differently. It's very hard for me to kind of give a definitive... I'm not able to fully pinpoint what exactly is the difference, but it does behave differently depending on how you are writing. The notebooks or the Max Lumi does not support tilt sensitivity, so it's only going to be pressure sensitive. All of the brushes are always going to be only pressure sensitive. The brush pen behaves a little bit differently when writing compared to the pen brush, but it's very similar. The main difference for me is that the brush pen itself goes all the way to 20 as far as the size goes, and that is quite a lot bigger than the pen brush, as you can see. So we can start and we can get to be very thick. It also looks like it's sensitive to the speed and the direction that the brush actually changes in. However, I think this is a really good brush for coloring in, especially at maximum size, because it can cover quite a lot very easily. So in combination with the regular pen, I think this is a really cool one for drawing and yeah, inking things basically. Then we have the ballpoint pen, and the ballpoint pen is not pressure sensitive, which is kind of cool because I prefer to use this one when writing and when just taking notes. And you can see that the same processing is happening after you're done, it actually smooths things out. Why I prefer this one for writing? Because you don't have to press hard at all, and it's very, very responsive even to the lightest of the touches. So for extended writing sessions, this is definitely the one that I'm using pretty much all of the time. And then we have the newest addition to the brushes in version 3, which is the pencil, and that's basically a graphite pencil. So this one is pressure sensitive, but it's also drawing a texture, so it has a proper brush, and as you can see, if you're careful, you're able to get very, very nice and fine results. Now obviously you can increase the thickness here, and you can increase in the intensity. So let's get into a little bit thicker here. So now let's try and shade a little bit. Now I will say that it's a little hard to get to the lowest level of pressure, especially if it's much bigger. So yeah, I can't get the super sensitive parts. I wish that it was a little bit more well calibrated. It's like super good in strong kind of drawing in, but I think a little bit more sensitivity and a little bit better calibration would benefit a lot, because if you can see, if I lower the size, then I'm able to get very nice small details. I hope that's noticeable here. So for example, if I started drawing in, it really works great at a small size. However, larger we go, less sensitive it becomes. So I hope that they can recalibrate it a little so that we can get a bit better results as far as even when it's a larger brush, because it would be very much more useful that I can just increase the size and start shading here. But if I do, then it's suddenly gonna become, you can see how much darker it is, and I basically instantly lose control over sensitivity of the brush itself. However, that being said, I really like this. No, we do not have tilt control, yeah, as I said. I think it requires a little bit of getting used to kind of get used to the sensitivity and how it exactly works. For shading, let's just try and get a gradient, increasing the pressure slightly more and more. So you can see that the gradient is there. As I said, the only thing that I think it could use better is that when I am on a larger size, it goes to darker sections much more quickly. Yes, you still have that gradient, but the calibration is way off and it needs a little bit of tweaking to get it perfect. But once they do tweak that, I think it's going to be an awesome brush. So definitely has potential with a tiny bit of fixes to make it super cool. And finally we have the marker pen, and that's basically for marking things or highlighting things in text, in documents, or anything like that. And that one can go to be super wide, so that's really cool, because then I can just mark the text, and it's not pressure sensitive, it's nothing, it's just what it is, and it works like a marker. So it works as you would expect it to, with an added bonus that you have the adjustable size so that you can mark the entire row of text in one go, that you don't have to go ba. And finally we have the geometric shapes, which are super cool because you can draw straight lines very easily, and you can of course adjust the thickness of the line. So if I just adjust it to very thick, starting point, kind of adjust where you want it to be here, maybe like this, let go, and it processes it and you get a nice straight line. Same thing with the triangle. So if I choose a triangle, if I start drawing, I will have a triangle, and then I can choose what type it will be and how it should be shaped. So pretty cool. And then once that's done, then I can just continue on drawing. Circle, or an ellipse, better said. So basically you can just draw an ellipse, and of course a square or a rectangle. better said. So this is really cool because you can definitely use these shapes if you're doing a mind map or any kind of map that goes from here to maybe there, and then you draw a line, or just draw a normal line that goes into here, and then you add a text box and all that kind of stuff. Very, very useful, and I think it's something that's very, very usable. Then we have the eraser, and the eraser now has a couple of new options. Of course, mobile eraser, stroke eraser, area eraser, where you just draw an area that you want to erase. But we also have the option of erasing contents of the current layer, or erase all layers. So very nicely organized, and something that helps out a lot. Now, the thing that I absolutely love about Boox platform here is that even though it is a monochromatic device, it allows you to draw, paint, or make strokes in different colors. So if I can write in white, red, green, or blue, of course with 3 shades of gray and black, those, when they are actually exported into a PDF or a PNG or whatever it may be, they are then in the colors that they are shown. So this is super useful when marking up documents and basically making notes, because you can really differentiate between green for good, red for bad, and blue for considering. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but you can probably see the applications for this, and I think it's a really, really, really awesome way to do this. One thing that I love about the lasso tool is, for example, let's just write an example here. So this is my example text, and this is my other line. So when I take a lasso tool, of course you can just select and then transform the selection. So you can move it, you can scale it, you can rotate it, and do all of those kinds of things. You can also undo, redo, duplicate it, copy it to another document, or basically select everything if you want, and of course delete. However, the thing that I love most is that you're able to change the color of the selection itself. So I can write everything that I wanted to, mark up my text the way I wanted to, and then just say, okay, these marks or these things are going to be color red or blue or green or light gray or whatever. So again, a very, very well thought out tool that works brilliantly. Then we have zoom, and the zoom, there is no pinch to zoom in notebooks. So if you want to zoom, you have to go into zoom mode, and then you can zoom in like this if you wanted to, or you can draw the zoom selection. So now I can zoom in here, and can I move stuff? Yes, I can. So when I'm in zoom mode, a single press basically goes into here, and that's pretty much it. So I can go here and start. Actually, let's delete this, and let's switch the pen to the thinnest option and write really small. So basically this means that I can zoom in even further, go down here, and write even. Okay, smaller. All right, so at the absolute maximum zoom in, where my normal letter looks like this, then it has some issues. So if I try to write really, really small, no, it's okay, but it's a little bit confused when I start drawing. Maybe it was just a replacement, or maybe it's something else, but you can write super tiny, which is excellent for drawing, because you can just zoom in on a section and then start drawing in, which is super cool. So let's just zoom out to show how small this all is. So let's just, I need to zoom in with the camera because you really can't see anything here. Right, so this is my maximum zoom of the camera, and you can see how tiny all of that stuff was that I've written in. So super cool option and super fun option to have as well. Next we have the text box, and text boxes are cool because you can just place them anywhere you want. You can shape them to be, let's say maybe this is the width that I want it to be, and I want it to be here, and I can type my text and then change things, of course, because like this, I can type my text and then I can change the formatting. Maybe I want a little bit larger font and use a different font here. Let's say maybe Gothic, yeah, something like this, or maybe back to cartoon because it's kind of funky, or dancing, and yeah, you can underline, you can bold, you can change the color, you can change the line spacing, italic, and etc. However, the cool thing is, of course, when you combine the keyboard with this, because let's now enable my, let's just get out of this. Oh, I'm pressing here. So let's, oh, that's already enabled. So if I add a text box here, and now I can type my text. I think I'm pressing something that I'm not supposed to press. There we go. So the keyboard navigation doesn't work here. That's something that I think would have been excellent, but it's not currently working. And however, I can type my text into the text box via my keyboard. Hooray. And yeah, you can just keep on typing in the paragraph, which can be a typed section of your notebook, right? And then you can just say like, all right, that's great, but I really want to use a different type of script, and okay, that's kind of good, but I would like it to be smaller, and I would like it to be placed over here, and I no longer want any of these guys here, so I'm just gonna kind of delete that. And oh, I need to edit this, so I need a space to add, so I'm just gonna go around here, go into a text box so that I can edit the space here. There we go. And here's the cool thing that you can do with the notebooks here. So I can now go into more section and I can insert a picture, and let's say I want to insert this picture, so I can insert it here, and then I can move this to be on top, and let's say I can put this let's say that I want this to be a paragraph on the side, and then I can just scale this one to be a bit smaller. Oh, I'm in a tool that I'm not supposed to be in. So I'm just gonna scale this into the size that I want it to be, position it here, and then maybe, I don't know, add another text box here, which I can also position precisely there, and maybe like this, and maybe like this, and here I can add image description text. And basically, yeah, you're starting to shape. It's far more than just a notebook, because now I have all of these things, and then I can add another layer on top, and on this layer I can just do well, I need a bigger size pen, so my handwritten notes. So this suddenly becomes a very, very powerful tool. It's not just something for writing up your notes, it's for collages if you want it to be, and drop in the ability to use your Dropbox, to use your Google Drive, and to get your files from Google Drive or Dropbox or anything like that, and then you just dump them in or go online, get the picture for image from there or a screenshot of a document, put it in there, and pretty much it. So these things I think are really, really powerful and quite important. The only thing that you need to remember is where each element is on the layer so that you can select it. So now I can just select this, and then I can just go, okay, I no longer want the image, etc., etc. So very, very flexible, and I love how this works. We also have text recognition here, and let's just go to a new page. You can add and delete pages here. This is basically inserting a page. So it's not just adding a page at the end, it's inserting the page after the one you're currently at. However, text recognition works well, but not great. There are situations when So the way the AI text recognition works is, of course, you just press on AI, and it has two ways of doing it. Original recognition basically converts the text and then arranges it in text boxes. So text recognition works well, but not great. There are situations when you will have to do a lot of correcting. This time it went brilliantly and perfectly. Sometimes, depending on how you write and how messy you are, you can see that this is fairly messy. So it's doing a really good job. But sometimes, and for some people's hand recognition, they are just complaining that it's like hopeless and bad. I honestly can't say that I've personally noticed that. For me personally, and the way I use it, and for my handwriting, it works great. But I've read a lot of people who are saying like, oh no, it's hopeless and it's really bad. I don't know. I haven't seen an example of how horrible or what type of handwriting that is and what kind of expectations these people have. But for me, and in this type of situation, it works really good. The other option is reflow recognition, and it just works great. And the reflow is different because it just goes into this kind of notebook option where you can definitely, again, use your keyboard. And this time, let me just try and get everything into the frame. And this time the keyboard works perfectly. So you have like a little text editor, and you can see that the cursor is moving where you want it to be. So now I can just go into here, and then let's see, and your usual shortcuts work. So Control Shift and arrows will select your text. Control and arrows will jump through this, and Shift and Select will select the words themselves. So this works basically as a normal text editor. And I think this is super useful, again, when paired with a physical keyboard. And basically, yeah, that's it. Then you're done. You're done with this thing, and you can export it as a PDF or a text file and send that way further on as you might need it. So for my purposes, I think that it has been improved very, very much so over the time, and I think that it works really great. So you will see from this example if this is something that works for you or not. However, how does it work with special symbols? Let's see. Square root of x plus y. Then I want to see x square plus y square, and also alpha, gamma, beta. and let's try pi as well. I've never done this before, so I don't know what it does. So recognize it again. No, it doesn't. So it really is kind of the same situation like with the Remarkable. Text works, the special symbols pretty much not. Then we also have the palm rejection. You can enable it or disable it for the writing area. You can refresh, you can insert a page, you can remove the page, you can save the notebook that you're working on. And you can, of course, export, share, insert a picture, and swap the toolbar left or right, or customize it entirely so that you can rearrange these icons, which one you want to use, etc., etc. Overall, I think it's a super complete type of tool set and a package, and I think that once you get to know the tools properly and to use them as they should be used, it's a super powerful tool, very complete feature set in note-taking as well. This concludes the writing experience part of the in-depth review, and join me in part 3 where we check out the reading functionalities of the Max Lumi.